Hi there, I'm RJ and this is my March reading roundup. I apologize for any audio quality issues. I'm going to try to project, but I lost my microphone. It might have gotten put through the wash. My dog tried to eat it. I just don't feel like looking for it right now, so we're not looking for it. So this month, almost every single thing I read was an ebook or an audiobook, so that is a spoiler for one of my goals at the end of this. I didn't get to anything that I already own. So we're going to be relying pretty heavily on my tablet with some pictures of covers. I'm going to start with some of the advanced reader copies that I got this month, followed by audiobooks. Then we're going to go into individual authors where I read multiple titles by the same author, as well as some partial series. And then we're going to end it off with talking about comic books. Alright, so my advanced reader copies this month, I kind of went a little bit overboard requesting them, so I'm not even done the ones that I intended to finish in March, but luckily I'm still underneath the deadline. Most of the ones that I haven't finished finish at the end of this month or even further into the summer. So I don't remember off the top of my head the release dates for any of these, but most of these are not yet out. The first one is Celebrity Vet's Second Chance. This was about as good as you could expect, which is to say it's not very good. I don't remember if I gave it 2 or 3 stars. It was fairly low. It was what it set out to be. It's a Harlequin romance, so it's very cute. But some of the stuff that the characters did and said just didn't really feel very authentic or true to me, unfortunately, and some of the writing fell a bit flat. The next one is Storm and Sea by Teresa Kane. I really didn't like this one. I actually gave it 2 stars for sure. There's a lot of pacing issues, there's a lot of character issues. There was 5 different points of view and I couldn't tell any of them apart. There's just a lot of fundamental problems in this one, unfortunately, and I gave it 2 stars because there's a couple moments that I found cute or funny, but it wasn't very good, unfortunately, and I don't necessarily recommend this one. Next is The Prince and the Player by Nora Phoenix. I'm really going for some interesting titles this month. It looks like this one was recommended for fans of Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I would definitely say it's for fans of that, and I am a huge fan of that book. But it's not quite as well written, and it is a lot shorter, which is good. I think I read this in like 1 or 2 sittings, and it was gonna be like a 3 or 4 star read, and then it ended up being like a 4 to 5 because there's a moment at the end that is so fundamentally absurd that I laughed out loud and like had to stop reading because I was laughing so hard because it was so unserious, like profoundly unserious. So for that, I say it was fun and enjoyable because it did give me a very good laugh. And the last advanced reader copy, I actually just finished this one, is Once Upon You and Me by Timothy Janowski. I have been recommended other titles by this author and then also not recommended other titles by this author. But this one I thought was very cute. It's what it set out to be. I have a little bit of an ick sometimes when I'm reading books with characters in their late 20s where the characters read as if they're 19 or as if they're 50. And as someone in my late 20s for the minute, this actually read like one of the characters is the same age as I am currently, and it read very authentic. Like there's the right amount of internet slang usage, where it's not too much and the characters aren't too immature, but also aren't all like wise beyond their years or anything, which can also be frustrating. Okay, so next is the audiobooks that I listened to this month. So I finally finished Making It So by Patrick Stewart. This was really interesting. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. Obviously that's only a small portion of the book because he's 40 when he gets his role as Captain Picard. So there's a lot of stuff about his early life that I also found really interesting to learn about and really explains sort of the information behind his character and like how Picard ended up being the way that he is. There's also really interesting things about Sir Patrick Stewart himself that I was really interested to learn. And one of the things that really struck me listening to this memoir, obviously he's an incredible actor, so the delivery is very engaging and fun. But when he's talking about failed relationships, especially in his younger years, like his first couple of girlfriends, like when he's very young, he takes all the blame onto himself even in situations where even as he's presenting it, I'm like, I think, you know, two people can be wrong here. But he's very conscious of the power that he has in being the one to tell these stories, and being very conscious that these people will not have the same platform or voice that he has. And so not wanting that sort of negative reflection on these people as part of his past, which I really respected. The other audiobook I listened to last month is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This is a very hard-hitting memoir. It covers a lot of very important topics, similarly to Patrick Stewart. It's an acting memoir, but not so similarly. She was a child actor, whereas he didn't even get started until he was an adult, really. He did like amateur theater in his younger years. And it's very emotionally harrowing to listen to, especially as she tells the story. But unfortunately, the writing itself wasn't very good, so I ended up giving it a kind of low mark. So next I want to talk about the Cat Sebastian books that I read. I am almost done her whole back catalog, so you won't be hearing more about her until till she releases something new. But I still have a couple more for next month, I think. So that would be The Soldier's Scoundrel. Oh, this one's all little. The Lawrence Brown Affair. And let's see if I can make it bigger. That's as big as I can get it. The Rune of the Rake. Those are all in the same series, the Turner series. I thought they were all really fun, really good. I especially liked the Lawrence Brown Affair. I think that was my favorite of the three, but they were all very fun and told very interesting stories. I especially loved the ending of the Rune of the Rake. I thought it was very sweet, and the way it kind of tied them all together. Yeah, and currently I am reading another one of her books from the Sedgwick series, so you'll definitely hear that next month. So next is A Marvelous Light by Freya Marski. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Sorry if that's not the case. This one was one of my favorites of the month. I thought this was incredible. It was so fun. I really loved the world building, and I really liked the characters as well. I think I just got the sequel in on Libby. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember, so I will definitely be reading that soon. Most of these I got from the library. I don't think I purchased any of them yet. All the ones are either advanced reader copies or from the library, so I have to wait for the sequels to show up if they are not immediately available, which unfortunately they are not always. So the next one is Yield Under Great Persuasion by Alexandra Rowland. I read this as a buddy read with a book club that I'm in, and it was so much fun to read together. It is such a comedic and goofy book that it was just really fun to chat with other people and like post the lines that made us laugh out loud, and talk about the plot of the book. It was a really fun time, and it's very funny. So if you want a light, quick read, this is definitely what I would recommend. And then because I enjoyed that one, I also read Taste of Gold and Iron, also by Alexandra Rowland. This one is my other favorite of March. I couldn't choose between it and A Marvelous Light. It was so good. I really loved the tropes used in this one. It's a very tropey fantasy romance. It's not quite as silly goofy as Yield Under Great Persuasion. It does have some comedic moments, but it's definitely not a comedy. But I really, really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with the tropes, had a lot of fun with the characters, and I thought the pacing was really good in this book. So next is, I technically got the ARC for the fourth book in this series and then realized I should probably read the rest of the series. So I've been making my way through and will hopefully finish it before the book comes out. So the first one is The Gentleman's Book of Vices. And the next one, again, this is so little. I need to choose better photos. The Rule Book for Restless Rogues, both of them by Jess Everly. I enjoyed these both tremendously. They're very fun. I like the world that it's presenting, and I like the way that they interconnect with each other. They're both about different characters, but within the same world together, and I thought that was really well done. So I'm excited to read the next book, which I know just came in on Libby. I got 3 books on Libby in all on the same night, and I'm a little overwhelmed, so don't remember which ones they are, but we're going to try to do some reading this afternoon to catch up and make sure that my holds don't run out. So now I'm going to move on to comics. I'm only going to talk about 3 here. I read over 40. I've read 44 comics last month. but I don't want to get into individual issues. I just want to talk about some of the full books that I read. And then I don't have pictures, but I'll broadly talk about the other series that I read. So the first one is JLA A League of One, which is a Wonder Woman centric comic. This one's so incredible if you want Wonder Woman content because DC is not giving it to the people. This is a comic to read. It's so good. The next one is Superman for All Seasons. This one I read because it was a recommended reading for the movie that's coming out this summer, and it is such a good, touching story, and it covers a really good range of times and themes, and I just really enjoyed this one. I thought it was very cute. And then the last comic that I want to talk about individually, I do actually have these physically. So my neighbor is a comic collector, and I bought these from him. And this is Batman Year 3. So this is let me see if I can find the first one. I have it on my little sleeves here. So this is a very good comic that really explores the Batman and specifically Nightwing dynamic, because he's Nightwing by this point, shortly after the death of the second Robin, Jason Todd, and so it deals a lot with these themes of grief and fatherhood and having parents. I don't know if there's a word for that one. Both having parents and losing a child are major themes in this, as well as your relationship with a surviving child. So it touches on some of those very good themes, and I really liked it as an exploration between Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson's relationship. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. So the other comics that I read were All of the World's Finest, and then the Absolute series that are out. So it's Absolute Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, and Martian Manhunter. And those were all absolutely incredible. Honestly, because there's so few issues out of the Absolute series, reading any one of those is a really good entry point to comics right now, because they are all doing some really incredible things with the comic genre and the limitations therein, as well as the storytelling options for these characters that everyone knows by presenting them in a new way. So I definitely recommend that. Next, I already said, but my favorites of March were A Marvelous Light and A Taste of Golden Iron. I thought those books were very fun. I loved the world building and characters and really enjoyed them. And then I'm currently reading Cultish by Amanda Montell. It's a nonfiction book about language control in cults, which I think is really interesting. She's a linguist. I have a BA in linguistics, so it's really appealing to me on that level, and so far I'm really interested. I'm actually almost done it because it's not a very long audiobook. Finally, my goals really fell down on the goals this month, unfortunately. I listened to 12 out of my 15 audio hours on Spotify. That's because I had my audiobook goes from the 22nd to the 22nd, and within that I had reading week, which was in February, but fell within my audio window that I've been counting for this. And yeah, so unfortunately didn't quite make it. The next one is, did I read any books I already own? Unfortunately, no, I did not. I meant to read The Odyssey by Emily Wilson, so that will be the next one I try to tackle, but that'll be when I've kind of slowed down and taken a breather, potentially when I go on vacation at the end of April. Did I spend money on new books? Unfortunately, yes. Secondhands, pre-orders, and some drawing books, because I'm learning how to draw. I think in this age where we're seeing a lot of AI art, taking things from artists, I want to learn some more creative pursuits. I'm a writer. I love to write, so I'm teaching myself to draw. And I am no good yet, but I am learning. So those are my reading goals. Thank you, and have a good month.